I've had some really shitty jobs in my life, as I'm sure you have, haven't we all? I put myself through college by waiting tables for 5 years. That was a hard job. My first job was at a sandwich counter in a gas station. And thinking back to the beginning of my corporate career, I really slogged through a lot of entry-level tasks, data entry, and just stuff that was really boring and difficult. Honest to God, when I think back to my hardest jobs and the most difficult things, I realized that those were incredible skills that I learned that I still use to this day. When I reflect on some of these shitty jobs, now that I'm further along in my career, I realize that I'm actually incredibly grateful for the skills that I acquired that at the time felt so insignificant. If you're in a shitty job, or if I could give my 20-year-old self advice, it would be that what feels really insignificant or shitty right now actually could benefit you greatly in the future. Boy, did I hate cold calling when I was a baby recruiter, but it taught me so much, and I'm not afraid to make a cold call nowadays. When I waited tables, I learned this really cool skill, which was you have to do things right the first time because you don't have time when you're multitasking and you're incredibly busy. I also learned how to talk to strangers, command a room, and hustle. No matter what your job, you have, and you are learning transferable skills that will be incredibly important to you now, for sure, to do the job. But the surprising thing is that it will benefit you in the future. And you are building a career step by step. And these are transferable skills that will, and you will be grateful for someday in the future. I know I am. Welcome to day 14 and the final day of my series, Do Just One Thing Today to Get a New Job. If you've been following along this whole time, you've updated your resume, you've put yourself out there, you've started applying to jobs, and you've discovered what your interview style is by getting a Shift profile. So for today's final tip, I want you to start practicing, because I know one thing for sure about interviewing: the more you do it, the better you get. And you only get better at it by practicing, by not just thinking about it, but you have to get it from your brain to your mouth a couple times. So open up the camera on your phone and record yourself answering questions like, tell me about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Why should you work here? Why should we hire you? And if you're stumped and if you're having problems thinking of questions to practice, get a Shift profile. And we have lots of resources, cover letter templates, a to-do list that walks you through everything that you need to do in the interview process. Use the coupon code DO1THING. And thank you so much for following along in this series. For more tips on interviewing better, get a Shift profile, follow me, and good luck. Everyone lies in interviews. Candidates lie, hiring managers lie, everybody lies. If you try to tell me that you've never lied in an interview, I do not believe you. I've interviewed thousands of people, thousands. Everyone stretches the truth just a little bit or exaggerates their skills or their abilities, because that's what happens in a job interview. You have to sell yourself, and you may get nervous that you don't have what it takes. And when you're in that situation, you may oversell. And listen, it's not the worst thing in the world. Hiring managers do it too. They make promises, they lie, and they oversell. But here's the thing. It's okay if you do it. And hiring managers are on board most of the time if they see that you have the ability to deliver on the thing that you are being overconfident about. Like if you say that you're like some whiz in Excel and they maybe don't quite believe you, but at the heart of it, they know that they see that you are ambitious and that you'd go on YouTube and you'd teach yourself pivot tables, they're okay with that. More than anything else, what hiring managers want to see is they want to see eagerness, enthusiasm, passion. They want to see that you are motivated for this job or to figure something out. If you can show them that, you can get away with telling a few fibs and a few white lies here or there. For more tips on interviewing better, get a Shift profile, follow me, and good luck in your upcoming interviews. Did you know that one of the biggest differences between introverts and extroverts is that introverts actually think before they speak, where extroverts actually talk to think?
Extroverts need to talk in order to figure out where they're going and to make a point. And this can get in their way in job interviews. Now, I know in our society we prefer extroverts, and we especially prefer them in interviews because it's easier to interview extroverts because they're open books and they talk easily and they open up easily. But I've interviewed over 10,000 people, and I will give you a little secret here. I'll let you in on a secret. Introverts have an upper hand when it comes to making a professional impression because they slow it down, they're thoughtful, and they make a more professional impression because they think before they speak. There are no points at the end of the interview for having talked really quickly. There are points at the end of an interview for looking thoughtful and confident. I hope this helps. For more tips on interviewing better, follow me and get a Shift profile. Here are 5 things you need to stop doing right now in your job search. Number 1, stop only applying to jobs on companies' websites. Number 2, stop keeping it a secret. You need to be a little bit more proactive in your job search and send an email to everyone that you've ever known with your resume attached and let them know what you're looking for. Number 3, stop thinking that it'll never happen. More than anything, this is a mind game. Tell yourself you will find a job. Number 4, stop relying on your resume. You still have to put yourself out there. Go to networking events, talk to friends, talk to family, make some phone calls. Number 5, hope is great and all, but it is not a strategy. You need an actual strategy with goals, and you need to commit to it every day. Send out 10 or 15 resumes a week, make 5 phone calls, go to 2 networking events. Here's the second thing hiring managers do poorly in interviews. Hiring managers very rarely prepare for interviews, and I get it. They're busy. They have a job to do, and hiring is not their top priority. And they also lack a lot of experience in interviewing because they only hire a few times of the year, especially if they're managing well, they're not going to have a lot of turnover. And when you're unprepared for interviews, you don't have questions to ask. You rely on conversational cues. You may even just rely on bad habits, or you may follow someone and act like someone who interviewed you before without thinking very deeply about it. The interview process, if it's conducted well, it means that you're asking interview questions that are prepared and directed to competencies that are required for that position. So if you want to hire better, and if you want to learn how to interview as a job seeker or a hiring manager, follow. I want to teach you how to interview, and not in the way that everybody else does it. I don't want to teach